So what happens when a tiny community garden, one that's dedicated to saving monarch butterflies, slams right into the digital brick wall of a global AI? Well, today we're going to unpack that exact story, and believe me, it reveals a really powerful and unexpected lesson about where we're all headed with technology and, well, humanity.
Okay, let's just dive right in, because this one question, it cuts right to the heart of the matter. You've got this fragile, living, breathing system up against a massive, cold, automated one. It's a story that feels so relevant right now.
I mean, you couldn't write a better David versus Goliath story. On one side, you've got a small community garden in New York City. And on the other, a content moderation algorithm that makes billions of decisions a day without any human oversight.
So get this, the Inwood Butterfly Sanctuaries project is a finalist for this huge, prestigious award. This is their big moment. But just as public voting kicks off, an AI flags their work and bam, the walls come crashing down. Their website is blocked, their Facebook pages are suspended, their entire voice is silenced right when they need it most. And yet, and this is the amazing part, the community rallied. They refused to be shut down, and they still managed to win the whole thing.
So you have to be asking, what on earth went so wrong? And this right here, it breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have human beings trying to save an endangered species and educate their community. And on the other, you have an AI that looks at images of people carefully raising caterpillars and interprets it as animal abuse or spam. It's a complete, almost comical disconnect between human purpose and machine logic.
But here's the thing. The community didn't just take this lying down. No, they got creative. They launched something called the #censorship challenge, basically using the AI's own platform against the very band it created. It was brilliant. And this is where the story gets really interesting, because the person at the heart of his fight, this is kind of what he's been doing his entire life. This one moment connects the decades of work by a guy named Keith Desser.
To really get why this butterfly sanctuary even exists in the first place, we've got to rewind the clock, way back. And when we do, you're going to see this incredible, consistent philosophy at play, using art and just pure, direct action to make people see what they've been overlooking.
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1980s in Detroit. He and some other artists started a project called Demolished by Neglect. What they did was they took these massive, haunting, larger-than-life portraits and installed them on the outside of burned-out, abandoned homes. It forced the entire city to look, to really see the human cost of what was happening. You literally couldn't ignore it. Then, fast forward to the days after the September 11th attacks. He saw another huge unmet need. Families were leaving photos, poems, and tributes on the fences around Ground Zero, but there was no formal place to grieve. So his project, ArtAid, stepped in. They started curating all these items on the official viewing platform, and they created the main public memorial that stood there for years.
So you're seeing the pattern, right? It's this philosophy of seeing a problem, seeing a need, and then jumping in with a direct, hands-on solution. And that exact same spirit is what led to this little, overlooked patch of land in New York City.
And the results? I mean, they're just mind-blowing. Out in the wild, the survival rate for monarch caterpillars is brutal. Fewer than 2% make it to become butterflies. But at the sanctuary, just by protecting them in these simple mesh habitats, that rate skyrockets to 98%. 98! This isn't just a pretty garden. It is an incredibly powerful conservation engine.
And that's when you realize, oh, this is about so much more than just the butterflies. It's a classroom for kids, it's a lab for citizen scientists, it's a model for how you can take a forgotten piece of city land and turn it into something vital and alive. It's really creating an entire ecosystem of people who care.
All right, so here comes the twist. The same guy who just went to war with a flawed algorithm is also one of the biggest champions for using AI to completely change education. Now, I know what you're thinking, wait, what? How does that make any sense? But stick with me because it absolutely does.
He sees both sides of the coin because he's lived them. He knows firsthand how AI can be a threat, how it can censor people, how it can silence important community work. But he also sees its incredible promise, its potential to give students and teachers tools we could have only dreamed of a few years ago.
And his whole approach is built on this really powerful idea, augmented intelligence. Look, the goal is not to replace teachers with robots. It's about using AI to enhance what they do. It's about giving them superpowers, basically, tools that help them personalize learning and get rid of the boring administrative stuff so they can focus on the human connection.
And this is not just some theory, you know? His program, Bridging Tomorrow, is already being piloted in New York City schools, and it follows this really common-sense four-step plan. Augment the teachers, don't replace them. Teach the kids to be creators, not just consumers. And, this is crucial, teach them about ethics so they can spot the nonsense. It's all designed to free up more time for the stuff that actually makes us human.
So when you step back and look at this whole story, it's quite a journey, isn't it? We went from a burned-out home in Detroit to a memorial at Ground Zero, to a butterfly garden, and now to an AI-powered classroom. So what's the common thread? What ties all of this together? It's really this. This story gives us a blueprint. It shows us that whether you're holding a camera, a garden shovel, or an algorithm, the tool itself doesn't matter as much as the intention behind it. What matters is if it's grounded in real human values and serving a real community.
So the lessons here are actually pretty clear. Number one, a small group of determined people can challenge a massive faceless system. Number two, tiny local projects can have a huge ripple effect. And maybe the most important takeaway of all is that the best defense against harmful technology isn't more technology. It's more critical thinking, it's more human connection.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. You know, the butterfly is the perfect symbol for a fragile, complex, natural intelligence. So as artificial intelligence gets more and more powerful, you've got to ask yourself, what are the butterflies in my world? What are those fragile, important, beautiful things that need protecting? And how am I going to choose to cultivate them?